ask yourself, how do you define a successful book promo event? What does that mean to you? What are you trying to achieve? What do you want to have happen at the end of the day? And I tie that back in my years of working in PR and putting together communication plans and marketing campaigns. What is it that we want to have happen at the end of the day? Do we want to sell 20 books? Is that our definition of success? Do we want a book club? Or another, say you're speaking on the topic of domestic violence, do you want more awareness of that campaign? Is that your definition of success?
Or would you define success as just touching the one person that comes to your table and something that they may read just touches them to the core, to where they're actually, there's a hurt place in their lives and they feel restored when after they read it, or they start to reflect and start making adjustments in their lives, which causes healing in their lives.
That's another definition of success. But either way, whatever your motive is, you want people to come to your table. You want people to become aware of what you've written, whether they buy it or not. So we're going to talk about how to adapt and how to get the word out there before, during, and after.
But before we go there, we do want to introduce ourselves to those out in YouTube land. My name is Tremayne Moore. I am an author of 5 books, 3 poetry, 2 novels, 1 on child sexual abuse, 1 on domestic violence. I've been writing since I was in high school. It started with a classmate, and I've been writing poetry since I was 16, and I didn't publish my first book until 2009. I currently have 4 books in the pipeline, so stay tuned for those 4 books due out between now and the end of next year. I'm giving myself a timetable so that way you all can hold me accountable and those in this room can hold me accountable.
And I'm Cynthia Lamb, Portalatin, author of Bloom Forever Poetry Journal. Probably can't see that on the video. Published 2013, and a short story called When Love Hurts in our Christian anthology, Subgroup from Tan. What's the title? What Lies Behind the Closed Door? Or When Truth, I forget.
Truth awaits you on the other side.
Truth awaits you on the other side. It's an anthology on the consequences of sin, and a collection of fiction short stories. So that's my plug, and I'm excited to be here to share these tips with you, and take it away.
See, when you go to a book event, the first thing you have to do is know your audience. Who is your target audience? And you have to cater to their events. What it is basically you don't just go to a book expo knowing that you write a children's book, but the event is on romance. You don't do that. So what you want to do is to determine, well, my book or is the work that I do tied to the event, or how can I enhance that book event? You want it to be a win-win situation, not only for you, but also for the event that you're going to, because you're going to be networking with not only readers, but also fellow authors as well. So that's something that you have to keep in mind. Also keep in mind, events 9 out of 10 times are going to cost you money. And you also need to be cognizant as to how much you're willing to spend, but also keep in mind what kind of return are you looking for at the same time. Sometimes you can shell out between $100 to about $1,000, and you may only sell 1 book. So you have to weigh your pros and your cons when you're doing a book expo.
And I'll echo that. When I published my book, I was so excited because I've been writing since I was 7 years old. And Poems in Here, I began writing when I was 18, 25 years worth of poetry. I was like, yay! And I started getting invited to all of these events. I had a little money, and I had just retired, and I was like, oh, I'm going to fly to Memphis, I'm going to go to Atlanta, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go there. And next thing you know, I'm like, dang, I spent a lot of money, and I didn't, maybe sold 5 books, you know, or 2 or 1. But I was so excited. I would sell books on the plane, at the car rental, wherever, in the restaurant. I'd just be talking about my book. And so I would, you know, that was success to me. But when I looked at the bottom line, money-wise, I was like, ooh, okay, well, this might help me out on my taxes, but this is not smart business-wise. So once that elation wore off and reality set in, I realized that not every party I'm invited to do I need to go to. And I needed to be more strategic in how I went out there to promote my book. So I took a year to just stay local, meaning Florida. And if I could drive to the place in Florida, you know, I'm not going down to Miami because that's what, 8 or 9 hours from here. No, I need to be able to drive there and back the same day. Or if I'm staying there, how fast do you drive? I'll ride with you. Or, you know, connect with people that I know that already live in the city. Can I stay with family or friends? Tie into other events that are going on, plan a little, like what's going on in the city. Case in point, I did a Ubawa event, urban books writers, something. They're now out of New York, but they were based in Atlanta, and I was so excited because there were a lot of things happening in Atlanta that weekend, and the way it was promoted, I was just like, wow, and I was number 6 on their releases for books that year, and I was just so excited. And when I got there, and I forget, oh, we exhibited together. We try to save money by sharing a table, and it always works out great.
No, and that's kind of how we set up our table. This isn't the first time Cynthia and I have done book signings together, so we normally pair up because we both kind of write, we both write poetry, and we actually work well together, not only as authors, but also as very good friends. So we kind of set up a table like that display, and we actually gain a lot of attention with that kind of setup.
But, I say but, when I got there, I realized we were out by the airport, and it wasn't like in a city center or midtown or, you know, where people are out and about and are going to just buy because you're there. Location is everything. The signage, you couldn't even, I couldn't even figure out where the place was. And we get there, and there were hundreds of authors there. And we were competing with each other. And I'm like, where is the general public? You know, I thought people were going to be, this is Atlanta, man. You know, this is where you want to be as a Black author to sell your book. But we were not that visible. So that was an important lesson to learn that day. I bought a lot of books. I met a lot of great authors. But I learned to do a little bit more research, because online the organization's presence was so strong. I just knew this place was going to be all that and a bag of chips. But then when I got there, I was like, wow, you know, this is not how I would have done it, although I'm not a professional event planner, but I do know that location is key. If you don't have the right location, you can have the best display, and you can have the #1 bestseller, and nobody's gonna know. So, know your location, know your audience.
And also, location is critical, your audience, but also you want to exhibit with hosts that have credibility. That is very critical. You know, sometimes you can, you know, now there are pros and cons, but at the same time, I'm going to explain each of them. Authors with credibility, yes, they can have credibility, but not bashing any author by any means when I say this. But sometimes the day can be an issue. Sometimes readers just may not come out, or sometimes they may have featured artists and they just overshadow all the participating authors. So it's good to support authors with credibility. I'm one of those kind of people. I will support an author who's hosting that has credibility versus one who will not. But there are some authors who don't have credibility where it actually is a good turnout, and then in some cases there are not good turnouts. So you just have to decide. You have to weigh your pros and cons, and kind of like you just rolling the dice. It's almost like a crapshoot. So, but it's good to do that before you just arbitrarily go with your eyes closed to it, and then get mad when the turnout isn't what you expect. Don't do that.
What do you mean by credibility?
Yeah.
Well, how many books have they put out? How well known are they in the respective community and even outside the state? If you mention their name, oh, I know their work. You know, I know their work. They came to this. They put out good work. Their writing style is great. Things of that nature.
And I will say this, and also events where the hosts have credibility. I've been to events in big cities. You know, I'll use Orlando as an example, and I didn't really know a lot of people when I moved to Orlando, but I assumed if they had a website, if they knew organizations that I was a member of, then that they were well known. And I would go to these events, I would pay money to exhibit, and then I would find out that the event didn't run as smoothly. They were calling us away from our tables to fill in the audience, or we're just a side item to what else is going on. And I learned that I needed to be choosier about the events that I go to, because at the end of the day, I'm trying to sell my book, and I'm also trying to get clients for my editing business. So not every event, and not everything that sparkles is gold, so to speak. Yes.
That's why they had the other thing about credibility is you want to know if they've had that event before.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
the event you talked about. If it's the first time and you're going and you don't know what to expect, you're in a bad situation
Yes.
to start out with.
Yeah.
But if it's an event that has been 3 years before and they've had, you know, and they can tell you how many people attended the first year, the second year, and the third year, that's credibility.
And you can see the growth. Has it grown? Is it established? Is it publicized in the news media? You know, that all of that will give you clues.
And I'll use this. I went to an
That's a
event,
good point.
and I went to an event in Maryland. The host, she's not an author, but she's a very good promoter. In fact, this was like her 4th year, I believe, at the time. It was her 5th year at the time that she did this. And the turnout, there was an author reception the day before. The author's reception was awesome. We all got dressed up in business attire, and we all got awards for our work. And then the day of the event, it started slow. It was like 10 o'clock in the morning. By the time 2 o'clock in the afternoon rolled around, it was just people pouring in, and I ended up selling over 10 books, which was a big shock to me. First time going to that event, but because it was promoted so well, the turnout was just great. And that, and these weren't just people I'm just browsing by. You have a few of those, but that kind of ties into the next point as to engaging your audience. And that is what's going to make or break you when you're trying to get your name out there. You have to engage them, and yes, you're going to sell a book, yes, but at the same time, you want to engage them where they are. Sometimes you have to come down to them and just say, and I'm the kind of person, I'm a reader first, I'm an author second. So I'm one of those kind of people. I will engage them and kind of just read their mind and kind of read their body language as to where they are, and then just kind of ask them, are you up to reading a poem or two? And 9 out of 10 times they are, and that kind of makes them feel like, okay, I'm not trying to sell them anything. Here's somebody that that just wants to share something with me. And I'll use Augusta as a perfect illustration. First time going to Augusta in 2013, Augusta, Georgia, they had a literary festival. It was a married couple, and I'm the kind of person, if a man comes to my table, because most of the people that come to my table are women. Now, if a man comes to a table, I will ask them if their wife is there. And if their wife is there, I'm going to ask the husband to read a poem to his wife. Well, in this particular situation, the husband did read a poem to his wife, and this couple had been married for 7 years. About halfway into this poem that I had written, and he read it like he wrote it, she was in tears. 2 years later, I ended up going back to Augusta, as a vendor. I ran into that couple. And the wife came to me and said, "Thank you so much for that poem. That was a turning point in our marriage." I don't know about you, but I cannot put a price tag on that.
Wow.
And to me, that is success.
Yes, it is.
Having shared the space with Tremayne on many occasions, I've seen the dynamics, and you might think, well, do I sell any books? Because he's very vocal. He's like, "Hey, come here," and he'll eye them, and then he'll say, "Okay, read this one." And I'm more, I just kind of hi and I speak, and I'll stand, but I'm not really like, "Hey." But it's okay. It's not a competition. We complement each other, and certain people are more drawn to his, and certain people more artsy are drawn to mine. They love the cover. Thank you, Barbara, for your designer girl who did this for me. And I hand them my book too, and I have them read something, and they may buy it, they may not. But my definition of success is when an aspiring author says, "Oh my gosh, this is like what I'm writing," and then they are encouraged to publish. And then I have another definition of success. Well, I have lots of definitions of success, but I keep this book on my table. It's not a fancy sign-in registry. I just went to Office Max and bought one of these 20-cent notebooks on sale and designed it myself, because I had some time while I was waiting. And it allows me to notate each event, and I just have it there on the table. And if someone is looking for an editor or a proofreader or copy editor, they write their information down, and then now I have a potential client. And I listen to them, and I ask them questions, like, "Well, what are you writing?" And it's not so much, "Hey, I want you to buy my book." It's like, "Well, what are you writing?" Wow. And I'm generally interested, because I'm a reader as well, a voracious reader. And I'm like, "Oh, wow. So how far along in the process are you? And did you know I'm an editor?" And I would have business cards for my editing business, and I would say, you don't have to hire me, but if you need any advice, just feel free to email me. And I may not hear from that person for 6 months to another year. But then all of a sudden I'll get a phone call. "I need you to edit my book, like right now." I'm so inspired. Or they eventually got around to ordering my book on Amazon if they didn't want to do it that day for whatever reason. Or they could be like me, where I'll buy tons of books, but it takes me a while to get through them all. So maybe at that event I only made $30, and it was really a loss if I flew there or whatever. But then all of a sudden I just made $600 on a job. So it's like, okay, so it's delayed success.
Yeah.
So you put in the work ahead of time. So that's why we talk about definitions of success. And then I've had events where I didn't sell anything, and that was okay. I may have even donated books. It may have been an event for young women, maybe at a church or at a women's event, and then I'll have someone who wasn't even part of the event get a copy of my book and just walk in. I had one lady, I think she was about in her 50s, and she was helping to prepare the food and the snacks that were served at this event. It was an evening event for young college-age women here locally in town, and I got invited as a speaker, and they actually bought 12 of my books to hand out to the participants, and I gave a few away. And this woman who had been in the basement of the church preparing the food had gotten a hold of my book, and she came in and kind of interrupted the meeting and was crying, and she wanted to thank me for having written this book. There was a poem in there that I had forgotten I'd even written. I'd written it like 15 years ago. And she was living that experience in present day. And it gave her hope that she could overcome that. So I was happy. If I didn't sell anything, if I hadn't sold any books, that was success for me that day because someone found a hope.
One thing that we do, that Cynthia and I do, especially when we pair up together, when we go to book signings, especially out of state, is we'll join panel discussions. The most memorable panel discussion was in Memphis, where we both won the poetry panel, and we had the privilege of actually reading a poem that we both wrote together. And the response was just breathtaking. So, and that also creates a fan base for both authors. It's a win-win, and you get to showcase what you do as a writer as well.
Yeah, and if you're a part of an event where there are a lot of different things happening at this event, you want to get on a panel discussion because how many authors were there in Memphis? A lot of tables.
About 50.
Were y'all at the Southern Women's Expo?
No, this was the Black Writers and Book Club Festival. Great, I would highly recommend that. Good, those 2 days. Good.
So you know when you have all these tables and people, they know how much money they're going to spend before they come, and you're competing with all these great displays, great authors. They don't know me, but they heard me. And they heard Tremayne, they heard us share our poetry, and so now, oh, they see your table, oh, you're the one that read your poem, I really loved it. So it's another way to draw interest to your booth.
Now this part is actually one of my favorites. Securing a speaking engagement in the same area where you can promote your book. Now, I don't know how this happened, but I believe it was divine intervention, but last year, Cynthia and I attended a festival here in Tallahassee, in Clement Plaza, and a teacher walked by our booth, and it just so happened that I was writing in a genre that she teaches on, and a few months later, I ended up speaking to 2 of her high school classes, and it became a powerful discussion. In fact, a couple of people opened up and as a result, and actually later that year I would speak at 2 refuge houses as well as be involved with an event, a local event here in Tallahassee. That was in 2014. So when you go, especially what you want to do is try to secure a speaking engagement because that gets you known. If you are on a panel or if you're actually hosting a workshop like I did in 2013, I actually spoke about my book, and there was quite a few people that came out to hear a little bit about me and what inspired the book. That draws attention.
So bottom line, when you travel outside of your city, or even if you're here in Tallahassee, just try to connect with local events that are happening and find where you can do a poetry reading. If you're not into poetry reading and you just want to speak, then get on a panel discussion, go to a Chamber of Commerce meeting, you can network. I really enjoy when they have different events at libraries. Even when we did the one in downtown here, where the youth were sharing their poetry, and we were part of the judging panel. They didn't do prizes last time, but it exposed us to the community as well as them to us. So it was a win-win. We were both giving, and it was a way. I didn't go there intending to promote my book. I wanted to hear the youth share their poetry and be inspired by them. But next thing you know, people are asking me about my book. And so those are ways to also promote. So if you're traveling out of state, touch base with the library in that city and see if they always have things going on. So call ahead and ask if you can participate. Let them know you're an author. Marketing material. I would be remiss if I didn't touch on that, having worked in communications. And there's all kinds of things you can create. You can have, sample book covers, bookmarks, magnets, posters, postcards. there's so many things you can create, but you want to be careful you don't spend all your profit on all these things that you give away. Like, I loved making stuff, and so I was, you know, I had a little flower. My book is Bloom Forever, so I had little magnetic bookmark flowers. I would put one in each book, and I had all these things I was making, but giving away. And it's okay to give. It's blessed to give, and you don't give thinking you're going to receive, but why are you here with this table and your books? Because you would like to sell some books. Now, if you're very wealthy and a great philanthropist and don't need to make any money, then by all means, just give your books away. And I know Zig Ziglar, when he was alive, he gave away a lot of books, and I went to one of his conferences in Gainesville years ago, and I got some free books, but then how much money did he make off those speaking engagements? So there's a method to the madness. So if I'm speaking, I want to make, you know, $1,000 speaking, then I might be inclined to give away some books. But another thing you want to do is, when you're talking with the event organizers, ask them what kind of goodie bags are they giving away, or what promotional material are they sending out. Can you include your business card, your little, you know, magnet, or anything that you have? Put it in that, get it in that packet. So what if you have to provide them with 200 of them? That's advertisement, direct marketing. It's in their hands. Because I love my goodie bags, and I'm like, ooh, they put chocolate with their business card. What? It's a spa? And now I'm at a literary event, but I'm thinking about that spa. You know, they might have, I don't know, maybe a lavender packet for your lingerie drawer. You know, so I'm going to keep that business card a little bit longer because there's something in there that I enjoyed. So think about that. You want to get your marketing materials in whatever kits they're giving. If you feel inclined, you can put together your own little media kit or marketing folder to have at your table. So I've seen all kinds of things done, but I love it when I go to a table and they've got like a little kit there, because they may have more than just books, and whatever else that they're doing is in there, and I can take that and read that at my leisure, and I may not be interested in that urban fiction type of book, but they may have something else that I'm interested in. I'll give you an example. I went to an event at the Black Archives at FAMU, and I was exhibiting there, and your wife was there too, Andrew. That was a really good good event. It was for women authors, and I didn't expect to sell much. I didn't even bring my cash box. I didn't have enough change. I was like,
I'm just going.
Nobody's gonna buy. They're just gonna come here for this event and listen to get entertained. There was a very nice program: spoken word, poetry, song, a little bit of theater, and jazz music playing. And I was like, okay, so people are coming here for this event. I paid to be a part of it, but I was like, I work at FAMU. I'm supporting FAMU. and I loved what they were doing with it. Well, I sold 6 books that night, and I'm running around looking for change. So always bring enough change, and your square or whatever method you're using to get that credit card is worth it. Even if you're paying 2 or 3% of the sale, it's worth it because that's a sale. And then you've captured that person's information.
Well, she mentioned something about the square. I want to make sure everybody knew what she was talking about when she said the square.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's that, I don't have one here to
I
show,
keep
but
mine
you
with
plug
me
it
at all
into your
times.
phone.
Yeah, just plug it into your phone right there. And
And
swipe.
PayPal has another system as well.
Yeah, PayPal has one, but I like the square.
So you can swipe the credit card right there. All you need is your smartphone. Plug it in, swipe the card, and it'll email the receipt to the person, and it deposits it in a couple days into your bank account. So no longer can someone, I mean, they can still say it, but I don't have enough cash. Well, I take Visa, MasterCard, American Express. We set up a group. This is typically how we do it. Sometimes I'm on this side, sometimes Tremayne's over here. And of course, I've seen it done where it's just a table with books in there. person will sell her books out. So they're well known, they don't really need props. But I like for the table to look attractive, because when I'm out there looking at tables and books, I'm drawn to a beautifully dressed table. You always want to bring a tablecloth. So a lot of times I've gone places where they say, yeah, we're going to have tablecloths, and they don't, or they're not attractive, or they might just be the little plastic ones. So I always have a tablecloth. I have a little rolling cart with my kit in it. I have my poster. This one's a little worn, but I have one that's laminated and it sits up straight. You can go big and you can have, an easel and have a big poster board, or you have the pull-ups. It costs about $300. I'm not making that much money on my books yet, so when I publish my next one, maybe I'll go all out with the pull-up. But you can get little banners that lay across your table or hang from your table. Just something that says, hey, here I am, and this is my book. Flowers add a nice touch. Tremayne has a lot of books, so all he really needs are his books. But you always want to have your business cards, plenty of business cards. And if you have anything else that you're selling, I've created some greeting cards to match my book with some of my art, and then bedazzled them. And those sell nicely. Some people, they're there with their spouse, or might be a mom with her teenager, and the teenager is not really interested in the book, but she might want the card, or vice versa. So that's another way to make money. And have something, I've seen people selling candles that go nicely with the theme of their book. One was a cookbook, and they had candles in the shapes of desserts, and I bought some of those to give away as gifts. So they got my money.
Two volunteers, those who are not familiar, who are new to attend meeting.
It's only two of them.
Go ahead.
I want y'all to just come to our table just for a minute, just to use you two as examples. Okay, right there, since you've dropped by Cynthia's side, and we'll just use this as an example. As to typically how Cynthia and I typically do at a table.
Hi, how are you today? Enjoying the event?
Yes.
Do you like poetry?
I love poetry.
Awesome. Do you write?
Not poetry.
Not poetry. What kind of things do you write?
You know, I like writing medical.
So you're a healer.
Yeah, I've done a couple of book chapters, a couple of articles. Yeah, I'm interested in writing a book.
What kind of book are you interested in?
You know, I'm interested in writing a book about my life.
So autobiographical. I bet you have a lot of good experience to share that would help.
So tell me about your book. I'm interested.
Well, I'm so glad you stopped by. Thank you. My book is a collection of poetry, 25 years. It's a poetry journal. So when you read it, it's in the order of the years of my life.
Okay.
And so you get to travel along my journey with all its ups and downs. And the title, Bloom Forever, is what I believe love does in your life. When nurtured, it blooms forever. So you'll see different themes in here.
When I was 30, I had a difficult time in my life. So tell me, when you were 30, what were you writing?
Woo! I had just become a mother.
Okay.
But I was also climbing in my career, and a wife, and helping my husband's family, and helping him with his business. So there was a lot going on in my life. So I didn't write as much, but I did write. And when I wrote, I would write about the joys of motherhood, but I would also write about, is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? Should I have to give that up?
You know, you've already sold me the book. This book. You know, I don't have any cash with me right now. Do you by chance, I have a credit card?
Absolutely. I have a square. We can get you a square away right now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I was going to let you read a poem, but hey, take that.
Also, choose a poem and have you read it out loud.
Well, since you are a healer, I'm going to find one that deals with healing. And usually I have, okay, I'm messed up here. Usually I have certain ones in the book that I'm going to hand to read, because you don't want all your books getting frayed on the edges. So Tremayne has some here that are the ones that people grab. And I usually have certain themes already marked out in my book. So I know if you're a healer, or if you're struggling, or whatever it is you're going through.
What
I got
about a struggling healer?
You gotta read two things.
Okay, hold on. I'm sure I have that. Sometimes I feel like I'm that. There's one that is a prayer that I love to share, and I think that would fit perfectly.
And I have a friend over there. Where is she? Oh, come on, I'm getting ready to read a poem about struggling healing.
Okay, this one, right here.
A prayer for strength. Father, I ask for your guidance as I walk this lonely road and seeking purity of mind, body, and soul. It is all too easy to fall into the easiness of blaming my fall into sin on simple human frailty. Give me strength to hold tight to my moral values and the wisdom not to be seduced by the lies spoken from foolish lips. Let me be able to discern the true spirit of those who would befriend me for unclean purposes. Let me not be confounded by their reasoning, for their ways are deceiving. Lead me down the path of righteousness. Surround me with people who have a heart to do your will and to live a holy life. Set apart from iniquity. Bring me to a place where good triumphs over evil, where truth is honored, where love reigns, so that I might indeed live on earth as it is in heaven. This is amazing. Wow. You know what? I want to get one from my mama.
Thank you. And it does work like that.
It does work like that.
You have to read the person in a way, and that involves engaging them and really listening to them, so that you can share something that they're going to be able to relate to. Because it's a book of poetry. There's so many themes in there, unless you have a specific theme. Some poets do have specific themes, but that's how I do it, and it works really well. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're doing Stay. Oh.
You come you come to my table. How are you?
I'm good.
I'm doing good. How you're a college student?
Yes, sir.
What are you studying?
Pre-med.
Now, so that tells me straight up you're not married. Have you ever done a men No, now ask, are you married or single?
I'm single right now.
Any children?
No children.
Have you ever had men problems, men that promise you the world but don't deliver? Well, I just want you, I'm going to give you a choice now. You can read either page 52 or 58. It's ladies' choice. Okay, but read that one aloud.
Don't waste my time. I see some women living to be drama queens, striving to be a baby's mama. I have no time for the foolishness, no time for unnecessary drama. I need a man to stand and commit to a relationship. Yes. I believe I'm not acting too much, and that's on a serious tip. At least one man approaches me week after week. I check out how they're dressed, yes, and I choose in on the words they speak. The infamous words are spoken to me. You're so attractive, precious as a pearl. If you share your love with me, I promise you the world. One man said those lines and we started dating. I asked him, how do you feel about commitment? He doesn't say anything. I didn't say, answer the question, and why are you hesitating? I refuse to let you break my heart. I am not your spring fling. After a few minutes, he says, I guess we won't be intimate, right? Of course. Oh, And it says, of course. Of course, I said no, and he leaves my presence like the speed of light. It seems like men are just pure talk with no action. Men don't waste my time. Men don't waste my time if you're not just focused. If you're just focused on physical attraction. I'm on a mission, and I'll find a man who's real. He won't waste my time and will commit to the marriage still.
All right.
I'm just gonna walk up with this book.
People try that. I'm like, and I'm the kind of person that's like this. I'm not trying to sell you a book. I just want you to read something, and you just carry on. And I'll just say, most of the time, your smile will indicate that I got your attention.
And that's how we do it.
We hope you've enjoyed this, and may you be successful in wherever you are promoting your book, whether in the city or outside of your city, and even across state lines. And we wish you nothing but success.